offices, this is not meant to bash public sector employees, because we all need them. When I pick up the phone to call county government or city government, I want someone capable at the other end of the phone, and by and large I get that. So I am not against public sector employees. I happen to be an entrepreneur. I have never worked for the government except for a very brief period of time. My bent is more entrepreneurial, but I appreciate the folks who work 9 to 5 for what used to be, and here's the operative word, what used to be pretty low pay. But now, when you look at the salaries that public sector employees are getting, it is by far much more generous than those of us in the private sector, those who are entrepreneurs, and they have much better benefits. You have a pension. What's a pension? In 90% of the small businesses and even some large companies, what's a pension? Your pension is whatever you can manage to squirrel away in a 401k that the company may match, may give you a percentage or two. Some of that is even going away. So what happened to the public sector employees is that 30, 40 years ago, you didn't make a lot of money. You didn't make a lot of money, but you had great benefits. Now, the thing is completely reversed. Now you have great salaries and great benefits, and the bottom line is we can't afford it anymore. That's the problem with having, and when you have collective bargaining, basically you get together with your potential bosses and you cut a deal. And sometimes you cut a deal that is for your benefit, but the taxpayers are getting hosed. So it's not that we're opposed to fair pay for government employees, but at the same time, we have got to say, listen, there's got to be some fairness and some equity. What do you think? Let's go to line 2. Bill, good morning. You are on the air from Orlando. You disagree with me?
Well, I do. By the way, good morning. I've
good morning.
Heard you before, but I think you got a good radio sound. So anyway, my thing about what you're talking about is this. Actually, I'm a conservative.
Mm-hmm.
I do, however, work for the government because I'm in a field that requires our children to be raised up by a standard of education, which if they're not constitutionally given that standard, therefore we don't even know what type of citizens we'll produce. But anyway, that's another point.
Absolutely, absolutely, and thank you for what you do with the children.
Well, you say thank you, but I'm just concerned how thankful you really are. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, we were in a state where the economy was doing a lot better, home prices, everything like that. Nobody was crying about how much public sector employees were making. Nobody was crying about how fair things were. You want to talk about fair? How fair is it that people that are in the government jobs have taken lower pay with high degrees? Let me remind you, I do have a high-level degree, have above a master's degree, but yet I've chosen to go down a path that I believe makes a difference in people's lives, but yet we hear one person say, oh, well, they deserve more money. But then, on the other hand, when times are good, nobody was crying, but now everybody's saying it's not fair. I really don't understand your point of view on that.
Let me tell you, Bill, even when times were good, 6 years ago, I was in Orlando for a conference, and at that conference, I sat next to a fund manager, someone who worked for the state of Florida, who managed your retirement benefits. And I said, I think there's going to be a problem coming in a few years because we have promised a lot of things to a lot of people, very, very generous salaries, and we're not going to be able to pay them. And you know what he said to me? He said, you don't have a clue of the train that is coming because you're wrong, Bill. People like me, we're saying, listen, it's not that you're not deserving of it. It's not that you shouldn't have the money, but we can no longer afford to sustain all that. I wish we had more time, but I've got to run. But, Bill, thanks for calling, and we appreciate you being on Bud Hedinger Live. All right, it is 6:54. We'll take a quick break right after this.
From the David Moss Volkswagen Lee Road Traffic Center, starting out this morning with delays along I-4 westbound is stop and go between 528 and Central Florida Parkway. A crash has the right lanes blocked. Only the left lane is crawling by around this accident. So far, seeing a good ride along the 408 and no problems to hold back your travels in either direction of the Turnpike or the Greenway. There is a crash along John Young Parkway at OBT. Just expect some minor brake tapping through this area. From the Traffic Center, I'm Courtney Bright.
All right, it's time for weather today. 87 is going to be our high. It's going to be nice tonight, a low of 65, partly cloudy skies. Tomorrow, bring the umbrella, about 76 degrees, but some scattered thunder showers. And right now, it's currently 65 degrees. And you're listening to Bud Hedinger Live. I am Lynn Miller sitting in for Bud, who's a little under the weather. 407-916-5400 if you would like to weigh in. And let's go to Jay in Orlando, who thinks I am wrong about the unions. Jay, welcome. You're on Bud Hedinger Live.
Good morning. Great to have you with us in for Bud this morning.
Thanks, Jay.
I wanted to comment. You just a little while ago, before your previous caller, said that the public sector pay is in line with private. And in fact, I looked that up a few days ago when Bud made the same comment. And I can tell you the teacher's salary, which I am a teacher, our salary is 97% of what the average salary in Florida is compared to, and that's with all professions that have a degree and not a degree. Only 40% of Florida has a bachelor's degree or higher. And I heard on the same day that on Friday, I think it was, your station, the station you're broadcasting on right now, said that Florida teacher salaries are 47th in the nation, yet you guys keep saying that our salaries are on line with the private sector, when actually that's just not true at all. Yes, our pensions are, I will fully admit that it's a pretty good deal, but again, we give up our current salary for the future benefit of a defined pension.
And I understand that teachers are not making what they should, but at the same time, Jay, what are we going to do? We're broke.
You guys to admit, though, it's not in line with the private sector. That particular point you keep pulling up is not a valid point.
Well, I don't know that, because I know some people who are self-employed like myself, and with this economy that we've all taken cuts because the business is not there. The construction, my friends who are in construction, they've taken 60 and 70 and 80% pay cuts because, again, they're in business for themselves. If you can't sell your widget, you don't get the money.
I have a solution, but I just want to get across that you literally just said on the air that our salaries are in line with the private sector, but they're really not. I have a solution for you, and I want you to consider that years ago, we, the voters, voted to pay for class size amendment. I looked that up as well. A Republican from Niceville and PolitiFact both said the per-year cost of doing the class size amendment is $3 billion per year.
Right, and I disagreed with that, and I didn't vote for it.
Well, that's a Republican from Niceville and PolitiFact said that.
Right.
Take a wild guess what our budget deficit is. I think the taxpayers in Florida voted for something, but the congressmen and the senators in the state Capitol didn't actually put in funding for it, and unfortunately we bought something, but we didn't want to pay for it.
Exactly, and that's why I voted against it, Jay, because I said although I think that having smaller class sizes is good, it's not the only thing you have to do. I mean, when I was in school, there were 50 kids in the class, but the teachers were given respect, and they were also given the authority, Jay, to discipline, and that's a real problem because now we can't do that. So I voted against the class size amendment because I didn't think we could pay for it either. I'm sympathetic to you, but we've got to find a solution because we can't pay for any of this stuff. I got to let you go. Tom, good morning from Orlando. Or is it Tom? Are you with me? Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Lynn. Thanks for taking my call. Teachers who teach, they have a choice. They make the choice to teach, and I applaud them for their service. However, I don't believe that they have the right to collectively bargain for pay and benefits, and then subsequently contribute to their potential negotiators in the future.
Exactly. That's my biggest complaint is that they are going to be able to choose their boss, and then they're taking union dues, which you have to pay into if you want to join the teachers union, and they use it to try and get more money out of the taxpayers. I mean, I think it's a vicious cycle. FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, did not agree with the collective bargaining of public sector employees.
And the union protects their own. They protect the good teachers. They also protect the bad teachers. And unfortunately, across the board pay, equalizing good teachers and bad teachers is a problem. If you allow the unions or allow the teachers the good teachers to rise and the bad teachers to fall, and pay the good teachers, then I think your previous callers will see a rise in their pay if they allow the good teachers to get paid more than the bad one.
Yep, Tom, I think you're right. Unfortunately, we're out of time. Got to take a quick break. I think, thanks for the call. I think that's part of it. If you were to let the bad teachers be weeded out, you'd see more money for the good ones. A quick break for news. We'll be back with more BHL after this.
WFLF Pine Hills, WTKS FM HD2 Cocoa Beach. Now with more America than ever. 540 WFLA. 540 WFLA. Local news from the Fox Orlando News Center.
It's 7 o'clock. I'm Daryl Moody, 540 WFLA News. 5 Dr. Phillips varsity football players accused of attacking a classmate in the team's locker room will face an Orange County judge later today. Last September, Darian Denson suffered serious injuries after the encounter in the varsity locker room. Denson told investigators at least 5 upperclassmen stuffed him into a garbage can and savagely beat the teen just for entering the locker room without permission. So far, none of the students accused in the beating have been disciplined. The 5 minors due in court today have been charged with misdemeanor battery. The lone adult in the case, Chris Gallen, has already been arraigned. Secretary Clinton is talking about Libya today with world counterparts. Fox News Radio's Alistair Wanklin reports from London.
Secretary Clinton in Geneva meeting foreign ministers. Secretary Clinton in Geneva meeting foreign ministers from Europe's major powers, some of whom have already imposed sanctions and a bank account freeze on the Gaddafi regime. France says it's considering all options, including perhaps imposing a no-fly zone to help prevent Gaddafi loyalists bombing opponents. But Russia's foreign minister today said when he met with Secretary Clinton there was no talk of that. Meanwhile, over the weekend, the German and British air forces flew hush-hush missions to rescue foreigners from deep inside Libya. In London, Alistair Wanklin, Fox News Radio.
Gas prices will go higher, that much is certain. According to Jessica Brady, spokesperson for AAA South in Tampa, $4 a gallon for gasoline is something that will happen this year.
We're hitting the springtime oil rally with a national average of already $3.28. So we could hit $4 a gallon sooner than later.
Brady said she'd rather avoid discussing $5 per gallon gas unless we get there. Police are searching for 2 missing children from Lakeland who are believed to be with their mother. Authorities say 12-year-old Antonio Gray Jr. and 9-year-old Aparicio Williams were reported missing on Thursday. Their mother, Lucille Elizabeth Wilson, has weekly visitation rights but not primary custody of the boys. Police issued an alert on the case on Sunday. Anyone with information about their whereabouts is asked to call law enforcement. 540 WFLA News Time now, 7:02. I'm Daryl Moody. Get these stories and more at 540WFLA.com. Sports is coming up.
From the David Moss Volkswagen Lee Road Traffic Center, starting out this morning with delays along I-4 westbound is stop and go between 528 and Central Florida Parkway. A crash has the right lanes blocked. Only the left lane is crawling by around this accident. So far, seeing a good ride along the 408 and no problems to hold back your travels in either direction of the Turnpike or the Greenway. There is a crash along John Young Parkway at OBT. Just expect some minor brake tapping through this area. From the Traffic Center, I'm Courtney Bright.
Traffic reports on air, online, a service of Trustco Bank.
Need a mortgage for a limited time? No application or pre-approval fee. Plus no points, no PMI, no tax escrow, and no broker's fees.
Your hometown bank, Trustco.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Half off Elace Med Spa. ODealsDaily.com.
From 540 WFLA, Orlando's 24-hour weather channel. With a good deal of sunshine out there, a lot of us are now warming to some mid-80s. We continue with a gusty south to southwesterly wind, dropping to around 60 tonight with a few clouds around and some patchy late-night fog. Weather is updated around the clock on 540 WFLA. I'm Jennifer Naramore from the Weather Channel.
Score with 540 WFLA Sports.
The Magic got 20 points and 10 rebounds from Dwight Howard and beat the Charlotte Bobcats 100-86. Brandon Bass scored 17 points while Gilbert Arenas added 16 off the bench. Magic coach Stan Van Gundy was happy to see Gil snap out of his shooting slump.
You know, I was glad to see Gil have a good shooting night. You know, other than him, we really, we shot the ball poorly again from 3-point range. But he stepped up and made some.
Steven Jackson led the Bobcats with 35 points. The Magic will host a new-look Knicks tomorrow night. New York went into Miami Sunday and ended the Heat's 7-game home winning streak. Former Cypress Creek star Amari Stoudemire scored 16 points and blocked LeBron James' shot with 7 seconds left in the Knicks' 91-86 win. Carmelo Anthony scored 29 points in his 3rd game with the Knicks. On the track, Jeff Gordon's long victory drought ended in the Arizona desert on Sunday. Gordon bumped Kyle Busch out of the way late in the race to win the Subway Fresh Fit 500 at Phoenix International Raceway. It was Gordon's first win since April of 2009. Chris Talladay smacked a pair of homers and drove in 5 runs as UCF routed Alabama 12-4 in the South Alabama Classic in Mobile. That's your sports update. I'm Tom Morgan on your Gator Nation station, 540.